Warning: the Savage Nation contains adult language, adult content, psychological nudity. Listener discretion is advised. And now, America's most exciting radio talk show, The Savage Nation, home of borders, language, culture. And here he is, winner of the National Radio Hall of Fame Award, Michael Savage.
It is the Savage Nation. Lou Pate filling in for Dr. Savage. He'll be back tomorrow, but now more than ever, it is important that you pick up a copy of Trump's War, His Battle for America. The book debuted #1 on the New York Times bestseller list. Didn't make its way to #1. First and foremost, day one, debuting #1 on the New York Times bestseller list. And there is a reason for that, and we'll get to that in just a moment. We have a lot coming up for you today on the Savage Nation. We're going to be talking about the ever-evolving situation with Russia, how Trump's base is possibly affecting, or in my opinion, is affecting his decision not to go into Syria. We'll play you audio from Donald Trump talking to Fox News with the meat of the day, quote, "We are not going into Syria." We'll be talking about where do we go from here with Syria, with Putin. We'll give you everything on Rex Tillerson and his meeting with Putin and the subsequent press conference. A little later in the show, we're going to be talking about immigration and catch and release and all that pertains to that, which brings me back to Trump's War, His Battle for America. Dr. Savage's latest book, as mentioned, #1 on the New York Times bestseller list. It debuted there. There is a reason why books debut #1 on the New York Times bestseller list. It's very rare, but it did happen in this occasion, because if you read Trump's War, you will see that a lot of what we are going to talk about today, a lot of what Dr. Savage has talked about in recent days, is in the book. It's visionary. It was written, late last year into this year. It came out just a month ago, and if you look through it, you will see a lot of what we talk about, most of what we talk about, if not all. You can go to chapter 7, right there, page 145, the neocons, and how the war machine is always churning for profit, churning for constituency, but never churning for the soldiers in the field. It is amazing if you read through the book how much Dr. Savage has predicted in this book, what is going on today. And the book came out a month ago. We're going to go through examples throughout the course of the show of how this book, Trump's War, His Battle for America, is not only important now more than ever, it's because I feel it was visionary in reading through it. It is truly amazing. You'll be shocked to hear about the weaponry and the equipment that our men and women are fighting that could cost them their lives is not up to snuff. And Dr. Savage lays out million-dollar lawsuits and how our soldiers are ill-equipped in the field, all for the profit machine of many of the war hawks, the warmongers. It's all there in Trump's War, His Fight for America. But right now, we will get to the show, 855-400-SAVAGE. Again, we'll be talking about the book throughout the show and as it pertains to today's topics. 855-400-SAVAGE. Rex Tillerson in Russia was not supposed to meet with Vladimir Putin. The big news a couple of days ago was that he wasn't going to meet with him. He was going to meet with Lavrov, his counterpart on the other side. Then, breaking news today, he was meeting with Putin, and he described the meeting as productive. The press conference, a little boring to watch, even for a political junkie like me. Rex Tillerson's not going to be dancing on Broadway anytime entertaining us, but what he had to say was incredibly important. He called the meeting with Vladimir Putin a productive meeting. And now, but tensions are high, folks. Tensions are high amongst Russia and the United States. A lot of it has to do coming out of the hacking scandal. A lot of that narrative, I feel, was being pushed forth through the media. But now the rubber meets the road where they met. There's a low level of trust between the United States and Russia, but they have agreed they have agreed in this fierce dispute over Syria that they would work together on an investigation on the chemical weapons. Now, if this was a boxing match, what you have on one side is the United States on one side blaming Assad, and on the other side you have Russia blaming the Syrian rebels. Okay, but the question of the day is, was anything accomplished? Did anything get accomplished in this meeting? Or was this all just a bunch of political posturing for the cameras, for the constituency, for themselves, for their own ego? Is it too early to tell? Donald Trump said in that interview with Fox News, we are not going into Syria. Well, you bomb an airport, you take out, a fifth of their military, and now you're not going to go in. The question begs to be asked, why? And I think the answer lies in, we the people, the constituency. They've spoke out. There was an outcry from the base, both those up high in the media and we regular folks down here in the trenches. People were saying, this is not what I voted for. This contradicts the bombing of the Syrian airfield. This contradicts what Donald Trump said in his inauguration speech. If you remember that, people don't remember inauguration speeches except for Kennedy's one line. But if you go back and read the inauguration speech, he talked about that. And of course, dozens and dozens, maybe hundreds of times, saying, he's not going to get bogged down in the Middle East. Not those words, but that's basically what it was. And then, first chance he got, bombing of Syria. Outrage. Was he responding to the outrage over the videos of the poor children, the babies, the mother of the twins, and all those innocent men and women, children and babies dying? Is that it? Or was somebody whispering in his ear to use this as an excuse? As Rahm Emanuel said many years ago during the financial crisis, which Dr. Savage cites in Trump's war, never let a good crisis go to waste. Then he was talking about the financial crisis, and now the crisis in the Democratic Party is that they're losing power. With Trump, the crisis is here. Well, we have this situation in Syria. We have dead babies. This is a good opportunity to possibly use this to our advantage to promote the cause of others. Could it be oil? Could it be war for oil? Or could it be something else? We don't know, and that's what we're going to examine today, and that's what we're going to invite you in on the conversation, because you the people, we the people, we put Donald Trump into office right here on the Savage Nation, which I always refer to as the cornerstone of the Trump presidency, because it started here, where Dr. Savage was the first to give Donald Trump a national platform, okay? And now it's coming full circle with you, the people, and an opportunity to comment on how you feel. Lots of questions to be asked. 855-400-SAVAGE, and I want to hear from you. And also, do these tensions, do these feelings, a low level of trust, as it's being called in Newsmax, do these feelings blow out the whole media narrative of Russia hacking the election? Because it seems to. I saw someone, I won't even say her name, won't even give her the recognition on such a platform as Dr. Savage's show, but you could see her forwarding the next talking point, that basically saying that Tillerson rolled over, and that if Trump is not tough against, I'm paraphrasing, if Trump is not tough against Putin, that means something was happening behind the scenes, implying again that he's rolling over for Putin because Putin helped him win the election. That dog just doesn't hunt, as the old expression goes. So we have all of this going on. We have a lot of political posturing, whether it's ego, whether it's satisfying the base, whether it's dealing with psychopaths like Assad, and to a lesser extent right now in North Korea, Kim Jong-un. What is going on? We're gonna peel back the onion, and we're gonna lay it out for you. But for those of you watching, for those of you listening, for those of you who saw what happened, the politicians are treading lightly. They have to tread lightly, because they're in this thing, and the dominoes can quickly begin to fall, and situations escalate, and then it gets out of hand. Here's what we have. Assad bombed his own people again. And then Trump 2 days later responded, taking out a fifth of his Air Force. And now the political shenanigans or the political dancing, but it's not Fred and Ginger, has begun. At first I thought Putin, last Friday, I thought Putin was just shaving face, saying this was an act of aggression, which is, obvious on its face, and that I thought maybe he would kick Assad to the side. But that doesn't seem to be happening, because over the weekend the news came out that Russia did know about the pending chemical attack. So that leaves them with a blight on. They're no better than Assad. Not only have they supported him for the last 7 years, but now they knew about this latest atrocity. And then you have Trump on the other side saying, okay, I bombed your airport. Now what? It almost seems like there should be another step forward. It's not one I hope he takes, quite honestly, bringing troops in or anything like that, which he says he's not going to do. But now it seems like it's kind of halted. We're at a pause. It's very odd, and I don't even know if the powers that be, at least the figureheads, the Putin, the Trump, if they know which way it's going to go, or are they being whispered to by people behind them, and the end result remains to be seen. That's the frightening part, folks. We don't know who's whispering in whose ear. We don't know who has influence over our leadership, our president, because until a week ago, I would have told you, no way was Donald Trump going to bomb Syria. And now he did. Now he says we're not going into Syria. That leaves him open to his critics who'll say, well, you're not going to finish the job? It's kind of a catch. He's put himself in a catch-22, painting himself into a corner. So he's got the neocons, as Dr. Savage cited in his book, whispering in his ear, war for profit. You have Rex Tillerson, possibly whispering in his ear, war for oil. And then in the other ear, you have the outcry from his base telling him, listen, you move forward, you have to deal with us. We have the votes. And the midterms are coming, and 4 years goes by very quick in our lifetime, and we all know that. So I'd like to know from you, the listeners to the Savage Nation, what do you think of today's events? Did anything get accomplished? Are they treading lightly or not lightly enough for you? And is the base responsible for Trump's, what I feel is a halt, bombing Syria 1 week and now saying we're not going into Syria? I think it is. 855-400-SAVAGE. My name is Lou Pate, sitting in for Dr. Savage. And remember to pick up a copy of Trump's War, his battle for America. Much of what we're going to discuss in the show today can be found there, and we'll talk more about that later. You are listening to The Savage Nation.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
The Savage Nation is sponsored by Swiss America, the only company I trust with my financial future. Call 800-289-2646 or SwissAmerica.com. My friends at MyPillow always have great deals, but this could be the best of them all. For a limited time, call MyPillow's special 800 number, 800-768-0898, or go to MyPillow.com, use promo code SAVAGE, and you get Mike's 4-pack special. You'll get 40% off 2 MyPillow premium pillows and 2 Go Anywhere pillows. Buy now, and MyPillow will also extend their New Year money-back guarantee through May 1st, 2017. You can have the pillow for months, and if you aren't happy, you can return it for a full guarantee. Look, I've had MyPillow for over a year, and since I've had their ultra-thin pillow, I've never slept better. Don't lose out on these incredible offers. Now through the end of April, MyPillow is offering Mike's 4-pack special. You'll get 40% off 2 MyPillow premium pillows and 2 Go Anywhere pillows. MyPillow makes a great gift all year long. So go online to MyPillow.com, code SAVAGE for this incredible offer. Or call my special 800 number. It's 800-768-0898 for my Mike's 4-pack special. MyPillow, made in the USA, guaranteed the most comfortable pillow you'll ever own. Are you hiring? Do you know where to post your job to find the best candidates? Posting your job in one place isn't enough to find quality candidates. And if you want to find the perfect hire, you need to post your job on all the top job sites, and now you can. With ZipRecruiter.com, you can post your job to 200-plus job sites, including social media networks like Facebook and Twitter, all with a single click. That's amazing. Find candidates in any city or industry nationwide. Just post once and watch your qualified candidates roll in to ZipRecruiter's easy-to-use interface. No juggling emails or calls to your office. Quickly screen candidates, rate them, and hire the right person fast. Find out today why ZipRecruiter has been used by Fortune 100 companies and thousands of small and medium-sized businesses. And right now, my listeners can post jobs on ZipRecruiter for free by going to ZipRecruiter.com/savage. One more time to try it for free. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/savage.
We're not going into Syria because, there were some questions. Nikki Haley's doing a great job. Rex is doing a fantastic job, our Secretary of State. And General McMaster, fantastic. But if you add it all up, and if they take every little word, they'll say, oh, they're different. Just so you understand, we're not going into Syria. But when I see people using horrible, horrible chemical weapons, which they agreed not to use under the Obama administration, but they violated it.
Welcome back to the Savage Nation. My name is Lou Pate, sitting in for Dr. Savage, who will be back tomorrow. Pick up a copy of Trump's War, His Battle for America. More important now than ever. As we continue our discussion, 855-400-SAVAGE. If you're holding, please continue to hold. We're going to get to each and every one of your calls. But in reference to Trump's war, I referenced in the monologue the Russian hacking. And a lot of us have been misled by the media. A lot of us have been misled by politicians who hate President Trump simply because he won the election. But if you look at Trump's war, his battle for America, just page 238, Dr. Savage talks about the public was provided with the conclusions the intelligence agencies drew, but not the evidence they drew them from. Now, I give you that. That's a very powerful sentence written by Dr. Savage, and it is one that I encourage you to go, and while you're reading the book, you'll see what surrounds it. It shows you how nefarious our intelligence agencies can be, how they weave information and tell you their conclusions, but they don't want to say where the evidence is coming from. And a lot of times they're misleading us. Again, this is in Trump's war. Did Russia really hack the election? And now we have our dealings with Russia today. Rex Tillerson meeting with Vladimir Putin, a meeting that was, at least as we're being told, was agreed upon last minute. You just heard the soundbite, and I commend Robert and Jim producing the show, doing an excellent job getting that to us of Donald Trump. We're not going into Syria. But in that, he talks about how Assad was not supposed to use his chemical weapons. No, he was not supposed to have them. I don't know if that was just a verbal flub on the part of the president. It happens when you're talking that much. Trust me, I know. But he was not supposed to have them. There was an agreement with the Obama administration. These weapons were supposed to be gone. So we are where we are now because those weapons were used, which I truly believe was a test of President Trump, maybe even a bait to see what his reaction would be. And, did he take the bait? And what I mean by that is Assad and Russia bomb the innocent people with the chemicals and kill them. That's the fish, that's the bait on the hook. Does Trump take the bait and then bomb the airport? Was he sucked in? Again, with a little nudging from people who were whispering in his ear? Maybe Rex Tillerson, maybe John McCain, maybe others. The hawks that are out there, those who have a vested interest in Congress, the idiots in Congress with their vested interest to keep the war machine going. What's the old expression? The military-industrial complex. I believe that was the term came around during the Eisenhower administration. So now there's been a day of discussions. Our Secretary of State, Rex Tillerson, the Foreign Minister in Russia, Sergei Lavrov, and Lavrov, I got that right. And now Tillerson, who knows Putin because of his days with ExxonMobil, many people don't know. They don't. You're busy with your 9 to 5, or you're not a news junkie like many of the people listening to the Savage Nation. That Rex Tillerson was the head of ExxonMobil, $8 billion in profit a quarter. He knows Vladimir Putin. They've gone back a long time, and you'd love to be a fly on the wall. Did they talk about how profitable war could be? Did they talk about war for oil? What was accomplished? What was said? We're told it was a productive meeting. We'll hear from Tillerson himself coming back from the next break. But wouldn't you like to be a fly on the wall there? I feel like I am, because to me it's obvious. Is it to you? 855-400-SAVAGE. Trump's War, His Battle for America. Pick it up, Dr. Savage's latest book, here on the Savage Nation.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE. 855-400-7282. Savage.
I wish this bag under my eye would just go away. Well, if that sounds like you every morning, I'm sorry you're not alone. You see, bags and puffiness under the eyes are a problem for millions of American men and women unless you use Genucel, the plant stem cell treatment from Chamonix. Then, ladies and gentlemen, the bags and puffiness will go away. Susan from New Jersey wrote this: I've been using Genucel for a couple of months. The puffiness around my eyes, it's gone. Even the crow's feet and small lines have disappeared and haven't come back. I love your product. I use it under my eyes, around my cheekbones, and on my eyelids. Not only Susan, folks. I use it, and I love it. Genucel really works. With its instant effects, you'll see results in the first 12 hours, or you get your money back. I guarantee it. Call now and you'll save big on Genucel's spring clearance event. Order Genucel now and get a free month supply with your order. So call 800-SKIN-891. Call 800-SKIN-891. Call right now and shipping is also free. Call 800-SKIN-891. 800-SKIN-891. That's 800-SKIN-891.
We just came from a productive meeting, as you heard Foreign Minister Lavrov mention, of about 2 hours with President Putin. We frankly discussed the current state of U.S.-Russia relations. I expressed the view that the current state of U.S.-Russia relations is at a low point. There is a low level of trust between our two countries. The world's two foremost nuclear powers cannot have this kind of relationship. We further discussed approaches to improving our channels of communication. We had a lengthy exchange of views regarding the situation in Syria and shared perspectives on possible ways forward.
Welcome back to the Savage Nation. My name is Lou Pate, in for Dr. Savage. He'll be back tomorrow. That was Rex Tillerson in the post-meeting with Putin press conference, talking about, we're going to talk about that in more detail in just a moment and take your calls at 855-400-SAVAGE. But first, I encourage you, due to the events of today unfolding, to pick up a copy of Trump's War, His Battle for America. I'm telling you, folks, more important now than ever. We have all of this military action, the bombing of the Syrian airport just last week, and then the escalation with North Korea and the Chinese, and we're sending ships into that region, which brings me to what Donald Trump talked about on the campaign trail, which Dr. Savage focuses on in Chapter 6 of the book, Restructure Military Spending. It's something that the Clinton administration wasn't too happy to do. They dwindled it down to nothing. But in it, Dr. Savage talks about, I touched on it earlier with the nightmare that was the F-35, the helmets that were ill-equipped for our soldiers, and how those in Congress and their cronies profited off of putting our people in harm's way. Again, it's all there in Trump's War, Restructuring Military Spending. And if we're going to be, unfortunately, part of a possible military escalation, even though President Trump said we're not going into Syria, restructuring our military spending, not just throwing money at the military, but as Dr. Savage points out in the book, it's not just throwing money into the military or into any problem, it's how you spend the money. You have to spend it efficiently. You can't just frivolously throw it up in the air. You have to spend it smart, or otherwise you're going to run out quick. So it's just not a matter. We've learned that from socialism. We learned that from liberal policies over the last few decades. Just throwing money at a problem doesn't work. It's how you spend the money. Again, it's all in Trump's War, His Battle for America. Let's get to the phones. Jacqueline from my hometown, my original hometown. Right now I'm in South Florida, to the Savage Nation.
I'm doing very well, and thank you very much for taking my call. And I just wanted to say, because I know, Doctor, everybody, we've all been so crazy over what has happened with this Syria thing and how impetuous it looked and how Trump was responding emotionally. But let's just remember one thing. He says he's not going in. Yes, we put him there, and we didn't put him there to do what Hillary would have done. And just remember, look, we got Gorsuch. No matter what, if Hillary had gotten in, we would be involved in a war. Look at the good things that we're going to get from this. At least...
You know, I have to disagree. I think if Hillary would have gotten in, she would have continued on with the policies of the Obama administration. And, maybe she wouldn't get into a war. She would have just pretended like it's not going on and turned her back on things. President Obama did. I'm not condoning the bombing. I'm just saying what Hillary would have done. Just like President Obama turned his back on the women and children of Malaysia when he revised the standards of Malaysia's human rights activity violations so that they can be part of the TPP. Malaysia, one of the highest volumes of sex trafficking for women and children. They knew this, and they turned a blind eye to it so they can be part of the TPP. Well, that's what I'm happy. Well, it's one of the first things. I'll not get off on a tangent, Jacqueline. I'm happy that he got rid of the TPP. But, yeah, I don't think Hillary would have driven us to war. I don't think so. And I'm not saying that as a compliment to her. Listen, but while I have you, do you think anything was accomplished today? And you as a Trump supporter, do you feel that the outcry from his base might be holding him back from sending troops into Syria?
The plane going off and then the Achille Lauro, he didn't go into Libya as a result of that.
No, I'm not talking. I'm talking about Syria. Do you think that the outcry from his base when he bombed Syria is why he is not putting boots on the ground in Syria right now to remove Assad?
I think what Trump is doing is the same thing. He's letting the world know that he's not going to stand for any crap with these people. And we're going to see the results of what happened here, because what we found out more than anything else is that both Obama and Susan Rice lied.
All right. That's a different topic. But thank you for your call, Jacqueline. Do appreciate it. 855-400-SAVAGE. Let's go to Connecticut. WDRC, the great DRC. Corey, welcome to the Savage Nation.
Good afternoon, Lou.
How are you?
Just a quick point here on what happened in Syria. Over the past few years, they've been trying to construct a pipeline over at the Golan Heights region, and I'm taking this from a different viewpoint, as that our president is a very smart man, and the people that he put into office right now are very, very intellectual. In all honesty, this seems like a brilliant move at a 3D chess match here, because this is clearly sending a shot across the bow to all the destabilization measures from the previous administration through the intelligence companies, and primarily to Saudi Arabia. And the reason I say that is ironically, right after this bombing had happened, that the Fed announced that they're going to release $4.3 trillion in toxic assets. Well, the only reason I'm saying this is it seems like this is a push to hold up the petrodollar via OPEC, who's been funding all of this movement, such as ISIS in the Middle East. So I'm viewing this as this is a coordinated effort as a re-stabilization process in the Middle East, not a destabilization. And if there were proper talks today with Russia, I'm going to have to take a completely different look at this and state that I do believe that if Mr. Trump did, in fact, want to work with Russia, that there is some sort of concerted effort here happening behind the scenes that we are not seeing, that, in fact, he is trying to re-stabilize the Middle East and have proper talks with the individuals that our previous administration has not.
But wait, are you saying are we being played war for oil?
Not necessarily for oil, but the very country itself of Saudi Arabia was the one that was pushing for the Golan Heights region with its petro production in the past year and a half, in which it cut intentionally, hoping that Hillary would get in.
Well, I think, as I said earlier, everybody's treading lightly, and I think it's too far. It's too early to tell, but it looks as if they gingerly stepped out of there. Obviously it's a very general statement, as you heard Rex Tillerson in the soundbite that we played, that it was a productive meeting. Well, that's like saying that's like saying no comment. You know what I mean? It's more when the Chinese issued a statement last week, said it is not inevitable that there will be conflict. See, to me, I take that as a positive statement after President Xi met with Trump at Mar-a-Lago. See, I take that as actually a statement. It's like, wow, okay, that's definitive. But this is just, they're really holding their cards close to their vest. But Corey, thanks. Excellent information there. Do appreciate it. Hey, coming up, I just want to mention a little later, we are going to continue on with this Russia stuff, but also we're going to be talking about, I neglected to mention it earlier, the Trump's Justice Department is ending catch and release and how that is going to affect us. So you're definitely going to want to stick around here with the Savage Nation, because actually, if you look in page 84 on Trump's war, there's a whole thing that Dr. Savage wrote about sanctuary cities. Again, kind of visionary on what we're talking about today, what is going on in real time as we speak today and move into tomorrow. It's all there in Trump's war, his battle for America. Let's get back to the phones. 855-400-SAVAGE. Lou Pate sitting in for Dr. Savage, who will be back tomorrow. John, in my current home of WFTL in South.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that it's a great show that you have today. And
thank you.
Talking about the base, him losing his base. I'm part of the base, and he wouldn't lose me over that. I feel like when he was going into office, he said that he's not going to telegraph every move that he makes. And I like.
Wait, hold on, John. I'll give you the floor as long as you need it. But I didn't say losing his base. I said an outcry from his base has prevented him from putting boots on the ground and going into Syria. I didn't say he's losing the base, because his base is very strong.
Okay, well, I didn't want anybody else to think that way, and I kind of,
And hold on one more second, John. While I have you here, Jim and Robert and Team Savage have just told me there's breaking news that Russia has vetoed the UN Syrian resolution. Russian vetoed a UN resolution that would have required Syria to cooperate with investigations and face full accountability after the brutal chemical attack. Now, it's the 8th time Russia has vetoed a proposed Security Council resolution on Syria. So, John, this kind of throws away the whole meeting today, where I was just telling you, as being reported in Newsmax, that they were going to be working together. So now we have to see what's going on.
Well, yeah, I watched something. Somebody posted something on a social network site that I have, and they interviewed a somebody that lived in Syria. And he was so grateful that that happened, and he said, "Thank God somebody came over and did that." And that changed my perspective of everything. And another thing,
well, I saw that clip. That interview, just so you know, was designed to undermine Donald Trump and prop up Hillary Clinton. You wouldn't know from watching CNN that she lost the election, and instead the gentleman started praising Donald Trump, saying, "We don't want to be refugees. We want to live in our own country." That's the same one you're discussing, right?
Yeah, exactly. They should.
Yeah, you felt the passion. You felt for the man, but that was a political hit piece on President Trump, and in an effort to prop up Hillary Clinton, and it failed miserably, and they were mocked all over the internet and all over the news.
Yes, it did. And I always remember, freedom is not free. So with that, I'll close. You'll have a great show, and I'm glad I'm from your hometown.
Oh, thank you very much. Do appreciate it. Maybe I'll see you at the beach there one day in Delray. Let's check out, let's go to Ron from Dr. Savage's flagship station, WFSO. SFO, excuse me. I'm sorry, Ron. How are you? I flubbed it there. How are you? Welcome to the Savage Nation.
Thank you. Doing great. Hey, my main point is I think the only thing that matters, because Syria being an enemy of Israel, is our support to Israel. That is the only thing that shows. If we do that, it shows the rest of that region that we are backing them. Yes, Russia knew what was going on. They are part of it. No wonder, as you just said, they vetoed again. But if we show this presence that we have a strong leader now, that the rest of the world is getting the point. As you had mentioned earlier, China now is going to do, with North Korea, they're going to start helping in that respect to back off.
Yes.
Didn't that come from the bombing? I just believe that that's all the point. And just one little sidebar on boots on the ground. Our military, at least the military I was a part of, was trained to be a part of on the ground. That is what we do.
Now, Ron, were you Army, Marines? What were you?
Marine Corps.
Marine Corps. I tip my hat to you for your service.
But we were trained. We are trained to do that. And when we are asked, we do not question. Here in the last few years, it makes me wonder about what our military is being trained. But I know.
Well, you can't fight a politically correct war, and many times our powers that be, I suggest you don't go to war ever, but our powers that be then send our men and women into harm's way and then don't let them do what needs to be done. And you cannot, if you're going to go to war, you have to go to war. You cannot fight a politically correct war. I would advise not going to war. But if you're going to do anything in life, you should do it the right way. But Ron, I thank you for your call. Do appreciate it. We'll take a quick break. My name is Lou Pate, sitting in for Dr. Savage here on the Savage Nation. He'll return tomorrow. And remember, more important now than ever, you should pick up a copy of Trump's War, His Battle for America. Folks, there is a reason why it debuted number one on the New York Times bestseller list. The New York Times, okay? They don't want anything to do with Dr. Savage, and they had to put it number one. They've undermined him before by not letting him get to number one when he should have been to number one. This time, he debuted at number one. Trump's War, His Battle for America. Pick it up. You're listening to The Savage Nation. My name is Lou Pate.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
The Savage Nation is sponsored by Swiss America, the only company I trust with my financial future. Call 800-289-2646 or SwissAmerica.com. This is going to sound like a horror story, but for some people, it's a reality during tax season. Now, imagine you head to the mailbox after doing your taxes, you reach in, discard all the junk mail, and then pull out the item you've been waiting for so long, only to get a huge shock someone's already filed for your return. You probably didn't know that identity thieves could use your personal information to file for your refund or commit other forms of ID theft. In fact, the IRS identified approximately $4.1 billion in suspected identity theft tax refund fraud in 2016. Thankfully, though, there's LifeLock. With LifeLock, you have access to a team of U.S.-based specialists who know the steps to take and the calls to make to fix identity issues, whether it happens during tax season or any other time. Of course, no one can prevent all identity theft or monitor all transactions at all businesses. Join now and get 10% off by using promo code SAVAGE. Call 1-800-LifeLock or head to LifeLock.com, promo code SAVAGE. That's SAVAGE, and you save 10% now at LifeLock.com. Here we are talking about the CIA, the NSA, and top intelligence agencies. All of our sensitive secrets can be hacked. We now know that safety and privacy of our finances are over. I mean, how safe and private do you think your finances are sitting in the cyber world? Who hacked them? How about your stock accounts, your saving accounts, even your 401ks? Frankly, that's why I turned to Swiss America for answers about protecting the Savage household finances and privacy. One book explained it all. Don't bank on it. And for a limited time, the first 500 callers can get a free copy. Only 500 of you are going to get it. What timing this is. 800-289-2646, 800-289-2646. It's a free book on exactly the topic we're talking about. And you'll learn how to protect your money against what even the CIA cannot protect. Please do it now. It's free. It's a book. 800-289-2646, 800-289-2646 for a free copy of the book. Don't bank on it.
Of the past 2 years, a number of reciprocal actions have been taken to demonstrate the dissatisfaction each country has with the other. We need to attempt to put an end to this steady degradation, which is doing nothing to restore the trust between our two countries or to make progress on the issues of the greatest importance to both of us. We've agreed to establish a working group to address smaller issues and make progress towards stabilizing the relationship so that we can then address the more serious problems.
Welcome back to the Savage Nation. Lou Pate sitting in for Dr. Savage. That is a soundbite of Rex Tillerson in the post-Putin meeting press conference. And, folks, I have to be honest with you. I don't hear him saying much there. It's a bunch of word salad of, generic talking points of, we have to make our relations better, things of that nature. What is he going to do? Sit down there and say, no, we're going to blow them to smithereens, or we're not, it's just, we want Assad out of there, or, it was just very, very neutral, very demure on the parts of everybody. But again, in a sense, it's smart because they have to tread lightly. We don't want war. I don't want war. And we have to tread lightly because you don't want anything, even voice inflection, body English, to be misinterpreted and taken the wrong way. But in the meantime, I encourage you to go to michaelsavage.com and not a pre-order. That was last month. We're way into it now. Number 1 on the New York Times bestseller list debut, Trump's War, His Battle for America, more important now than ever. And I mentioned earlier in the book about the Russian hacking situation, Dr. Savage talks about the new Ministry of Truth, and in that he talks about the financial crisis in 2008 with Rahm Emanuel and the famous "Never Let a Crisis Go to Waste." And the way it applies now is the situation is the powers that be, the rhinos and the war hawks, I think they felt with Trump their power was going to slip away the way Obama and Rahm Emanuel thought their power was going to be slipping away. And it could all be found in Trump War. More on that when we come back here to the Savage Nation.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage. Warning. The Savage Nation contains adult language, adult content, psychological nudity. Listener discretion is advised. And now, America's most exciting radio talk show, The Savage Nation, home of borders, language, culture. And here he is, winner of the National Radio Hall of Fame Award, Michael Savage.
It's the Savage Nation. Lou Pate sitting in for Dr. Savage. He will be back tomorrow. In the meantime, President Trump is meeting right now with the NATO Secretary General. If anything comes out of that press conference, we will bring it to you here at the Savage Nation. But as I said, many of the topics and much of the news that we are discussing here now can be found ahead of time in Dr. Savage's latest book, Trump's War, His Battle for America. Coming up later, we're going to be talking about a little bit, actually I want to introduce now, but we're going to continue, talking about Russia. The Trump Justice Department is going to end catch and release, the immigration policy. See, it's not all doom and gloom. It's not all we're on the brink of nuclear war. Russia hates us. We hate Russia. North Korea and China and everybody's in this mishmash of a lack of trust and hate. A lot is going on with immigration. And in Chapter 4 of Trump's War, Dr. Savage writes, how about sanctuary cities for U.S. citizens? A novel concept. Well, Dr. Savage has been talking about sanctuary cities for years and basically focusing on the fact that if you are a city leader, whether a city commissioner, mayor, sheriff, and you are in taking part in a sanctuary city, you condone a sanctuary city, you're breaking the law. In the book Trump's War, His Battle for America, Dr. Savage focuses on the issue of sanctuary cities. Page 84, Chapter 4. I encourage you to check it out. More important now than ever. But Attorney General Jeff Sessions declared the new era in immigration, saying that prosecutors will try to bring stiffer criminal charges against repeat illegal immigrant offenders and smugglers as part of President Trump's crackdown. I think this is a good thing. There's a lot going on out there that we don't know about. You have the Keystone Pipeline getting okayed, the Dakota Pipeline being okayed, Trans-Pacific Partnership early months ago out the window. The media is not going to focus on anything positive that the Trump administration does. And I think, obviously, fulfilling his promises on immigration is a big step forward because that's really what launched him. And I think that's what put him in the White House. So while he's got all of this going on, he's got his team working on ending catch and release. It's not ended yet, but it's one of those things where it you can't catch these people, release them, or give them a court date because then they're not going to come. So President Trump fulfilling one of his promises, making immigration tougher. We've got a lot of reports about what's going on down at the border. There have been confusing reports whether border crossings have lessened or not. But it comes down to, I think that, I don't know the exact numbers, but I do think there are less people coming over because President Trump comes along as a strong and decisive leader. And the perception is the reality that, hey, if you cross over, you're going to get deported. Catch and release is now going away. That'll trickle down across the border faster than you know. And people aren't going to waste their time. They're certainly not going to give their hard-earned money to the coyotes down there who rape, steal, and pillage down there with these poor people and send them back the other way. So they're not going to risk their lives just to be sent back, is what I'm saying. So the issue of immigration, you're not going to hear it on the news. There was some sound bites yesterday from Jeff Sessions that we will play a little later, but you're not going to hear the news, the media, it's really propaganda, talking about this because it is positive towards President Donald Trump. Plus, they also disagree with it. They don't think he should be shutting down our borders. He does not think there should be strong immigration policies against illegals who come in here. Quite frankly, I think if you are a sheriff, if you are a mayor, or if you are any type of city official, state worker, whatever it is, and you are in favor of sanctuary cities and refuse to enforce the law, you should be fired. Just thrown out and thrown in jail, out of office and into jail. Because what's the point? Imagine if you had a job, regardless of what industry it is, and you go against what the aim of that company is, and you go against what your boss has in the documents of the company instructs you to do, you'd be fired. Anywhere in private industry, you'd be fired. Now, only for state, federal, and city workers can they not be fired for refusing to do their job. It is truly an amazing phenomenon. So I think it's a great step forward that the Trump Justice Department is trying to end catch and release. Sessions said, and I quote, "For those that continue to seek improper and illegal entry into this country, be forewarned. This is a new era. This is the Trump era." That's a strong word. "The lawlessness, the abdication of the duty to enforce our laws, and the catch and release policies are the past are over, end quote. So you have that. With all of this Russia stuff going on, we do have things going on behind the scenes that are, better for America. Making America safer, making America great again. I know it's a campaign phrase, but if we have people who are criminals running around our streets, if we have the problems that they have in Europe due to the lack of leadership, and we had that until January, letting criminals in unvetted, anarchy reigns supreme. Look what's going on in Brussels. Look what's going on in Paris. Look what's going on in London. Look what's going on in various cities in Italy. They don't call them rape refugees for nothing. Sexual assaults that never get reported. And no one, and our politicians, many of them in Washington, D.C., especially former President Obama, who did nothing, actually encouraged illegal immigration, is not looking out for America. Now, I feel that President Trump is looking out for America with his immigration policies, and you can read more about it. You can read on what's coming up, really, in everything about sanctuary cities, about sanctuary cities for U.S. citizens, Trump's war, his battle for America. Now, I just want to, you can call up about the Justice Department and catch and release. I think that's a very important topic, but I do want to go back on the Russia situation. Jim, if we can play this clip, this is Donald Trump. Strong words about Putin backing what he calls an evil person in Assad and saying how it's bad for Russia. Clip number 6, please, Jim.
Then I really think that there's going to be a lot of pressure on Russia to make sure that peace happens. Because, frankly, if Russia didn't go in and back this animal, you wouldn't have a problem right now. He was going to be overthrown. I thought he was gone. He had another week. I mean, he was finished. He had nothing. And then Russia came in and saved him. And then Obama made one of the worst deals in history with the Iran deal. So you really have Iran, and you have Russia, and you have Assad.
And there's President Trump bringing in Iran, something that nobody wants to talk about. What, $150 billion of your taxpayer dollars given to them? Another $4 billion in cash being put on skids on a plane? Are you kidding me? You're late with your taxes. They come and take you away. And they're giving these terrorists, or the number one state sponsor of terrorists, skids full of cash. Truly amazing. Let's get back to the phones. Let's go to WABC. Welcome to the Savage Nation. Hey, Bob.
Yeah, hi. Did you ever hear of American propaganda?
Sure.
Does that ring a bell with you?
I know you're referring to something specific, but you could say that American propaganda is a bunch of things. What are you referring to?
Okay. Does the United States have blood on its hands, just like maybe not as horrific as Assad, but I think in the last 100 years or so, the military-industrial complex, and might makes right, we only had two legitimate wars, World War I and World War II. The others were driven by the military-industrial complex, and might makes right. Okay? Do you agree or disagree?
Well, you said a lot on certain parts. Actually, the Korean War is technically still going on. There was never declared ended. So technically, it is still going on. Obviously, we're not engaged, but it is still going on there. My father served in the Korean War in the 1950s, and it never came to an end. We never had we had victory in Europe Day, victory in Japan Day, but we never had victory in Korea Day. That one's not on the calendar. But when you refer to blood on the hands, what are you talking about? Regime change, bombing cities? What are you referring to, Bob?
Well, more specifically, Bush Cheney, war for oil, might makes right.
Is that what you think we're looking at now?
Well, okay, no, that was then. But that was probably the cause, or one of the major causes, of the collapse of the Middle East.
Well, the Middle East has always been in turmoil. I mean, since the days, thousands of years ago, there's always been turmoil.
Let me put it another way. Iraq was stabilized by Iran. In other words, they were both mortal enemies. In other words, Iraq kept Iran in check, and Iran kept Iran.
Well, they battled ferociously against each other from 1980 to 1988. I don't know if you call that keeping it in check, but they definitely battled for 8 years.
We destroyed Iraq, and now Iran is a superpower. That's number one. Number two.
Well, you got to look at the history. You're speaking in a lot of specifics. We were in bed with Iran for decades with the Shah of Iran. Okay. And, he lived a great lifestyle, and he was kind of our puppet there for a long time. And he got overthrown by the Ayatollahs in, late 1970s when the embassy fell and the hostages were taken, 444 days. Iraq wasn't even on the map. Actually, Saddam Hussein was working with our CIA. I think there's pictures out there of him sitting with, George H.W. Bush and Rumsfeld and others. He was working with us for a while. So that was in the days of when Ayatollah Khomeini took over in 1978, 79, right around there, obviously during the Jimmy Carter years. So you can't just paint everything with a broad stroke. There's reasons behind it. But yes, the Shah was our puppet there. Iran was in our back pocket because we controlled the Shah. Saddam Hussein was an ally, if you will, at that time, and we didn't have a problem with those two countries at all.
Okay. Well, why did we go into Iraq? It was for oil, right?
I think so, yes.
I think so also. Okay, I just want to, Tillerson, I think, first of all, I agree with the previous caller about a shot across the bow. I think what the United States did when they attacked the Syrian airfield, first of all, there were no casualties as far as I can tell. The only thing that was destroyed were 20 planes or something. I think that was a warning shot. So I agree with your previous caller. Also, Tillerson, I think he's on the right track now. I would go one step further. I would offer Putin a seat at NATO and see if he takes it.
You have to earn that seat. After all, we're paying the bills on NATO. But, Bob, thanks for your call. Do appreciate it. Going to take a quick break. Lou Pate sitting in for Dr. Savage. He'll come back tomorrow. And remember to get your copy of Trump's War, His Battle for America. Folks, books do not just debut on the New York Times bestseller list at number 1. There is a reason why these books are flying off the shelves, and if you want to get in and find out why, I've given you some teases today, but there is a heck of a lot more information. If you want to be ahead of the curve as to what's going on in the world and what's coming, you're going to read Trump's War, His Battle for America. Lou Pate in for Dr. Savage here on the Savage Nation.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
The Savage Nation is sponsored by Swiss America, the only company I trust with my financial future. Call 800-289-2646 or SwissAmerica.com.
Frankly, Putin is backing a person that's truly an evil person. And I think it's very bad for Russia. I think it's very bad for mankind. It's very bad for this world. But when you drop gas or bombs or barrel bombs, they have these massive barrels with dynamite, and they drop them right in the middle of a group of people. And in all fairness, you see the same kids, no arms, no legs, no face. This is an animal.
Welcome back to the Savage Nation. Lou Pate sitting in for Dr. Savage. He will return tomorrow. There is President Trump talking about Bashir Assad and the chemical attack and the videos that troubled all of the world, which then it was the videos that led him to bomb the airspace. Was it the right thing to do? I'd like to hear from the Trump supporters out there. There has been an outcry from the base online and all throughout the media. And is that what's keeping Donald Trump from moving forward into Syria? Today, Rex Tillerson met with Vladimir Putin, got a generic word salad response from him. Was anything accomplished? Or is it just too early to tell? Does Trump have to be tough on Russia to prove it to the left-wing media and the Democrats that he didn't collude? Or did he bomb just to make former President Obama look bad? There's a lot of different ways you can go with that. And looking at Trump's war, his battle for America, right at the very start, Dr. Savage talks about Trump's war against the enemies within. The shot heard around the world, and he references when the British subjects fired on British troops at Lexington and Concord. They called it the shot heard round the world. Is Trump bombing the Syrian airspace, the modern-day version of the shot heard round the world? It's not subjects firing on their own troops, but he is sending a message. That was the start of the American Revolution, what he's referring to there. But is this the modern-day version of the bomb dropped around the world? Because now the world is listening. We have the president of China. We have now Putin and Tillerson. We have Trump now talking about Syria. The question is, where do we go from here? Let's go to John at WABC. John, welcome to the Savage Nation.
All right. Yeah, thanks for taking my call, Lou. I'm a Trump supporter, voted for Trump, and I got to be honest with you, got one foot out the door with this Syria decision that he made. Idlib province, where he dropped the bombs, is a terrorist-controlled area that's not in dispute. Al-Qaeda, offshoot of al-Nusra, is the main group in charge. This group has beheaded Christians and other people, burned people alive in cages, and they have confirmed used chemical weapons in Iraq. So we know they've used chemical weapons before. So the whole media narrative, to me, of taking this as a foregone conclusion that it was Assad who did it, I think is a travesty of justice before we have an actual investigation. It reminds me of the Iraq WMD. And that's not why I voted for Trump, and that's not why a lot of people voted for Trump, was a continuation of those same policies.
Well, that's an excellent point, John, but are you in favor of an investigation to find out if it was, as the Russians say, the rebels, or as we are saying, the Americans are saying, it was Assad?
Well, I'm in favor of exactly what the Russians said today with Lavrov. He said, let's have an independent investigation.
All right. Thanks for your call. So you're in favor of it. That's not bad. Lou Pate in for Dr. Savage. You're listening to the Savage Nation, the home of Trump's war, his battle for America.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
Dr. Michael Savage here, your pre-programmed to lose muscle and bone as you age, up to 15% per decade, starting as early as age 35. Studies also suggest you need twice as much protein as you age, simply to maintain existing muscle mass. So look, I want to tell you about Protein 40 from the makers of Super Beats. Protein 40 blends 3 essential proteins to help fight muscle loss and provides up to 7 hours of muscle and bone support, filling in the protein gaps in your diet with 3 different fast and slow digesting premium proteins. Just mix 2 scoops in water or milk and supplement those food gaps which 2/3 of Americans miss out on every day. Fight muscle loss and support strong bones for life. Call now to get your free canister of Protein 40 included with your first order. Plus, you get the free guide written by world-renowned protein expert Dr. John Ivey about your critical protein needs as you age. So please call 1-800-646-8620. That's 800-646-8620 or visit SavageProtein.com. That's SavageProtein.com.
As events shift, the United States will continue to evaluate its strategic options and opportunities to de-escalate violence across Syria. Many nations look to the Geneva process to resolve the Syrian conflict in a way that produces stability and gives the Syrian people the opportunity to determine their own political future. And our hope is Bashar al-Assad will not be a part of that future.
It's the Savage Nation. Lou Pate filling in for Dr. Savage. He will be back tomorrow. That was Rex Tillerson, our Secretary of State. That is a strong statement saying our hope is Bashar al-Assad will not be part of that future, meaning the future of Syria. Well, then where do we go from here? Now that the children are all grown up, as the song says, where do you go? I mean, you want him gone. The world feels he has to be gone. Is it worth starting a world war over this despot, over this dictator? I know he's done a lot of bad things. Chemical attacks on his people, I think 8 times, the most recent being last week. But is it worth starting a war over? I'd like to focus on the issue of President Trump and his base, because I think it's going to be very telling. We just heard from one of Trump's supporters who says he's got 1 foot out the door. This is it. The bombing of Syria is something that has turned him off immensely, and there has been a huge outcry from the Trump base after the bombing of Syria. They were against it. They said this is not what he promised. This is not what's going on. So is Bashar al-Assad worth starting a huge conflict, possibly another world war? Think about that. 855-400-SAVAGE. And I do question, why do we have U.S. warships headed toward the North Korean coast? This, as North Korea prepares to celebrate the 105th birthday of its founder, Kim Jong-sung, on April 15th. President Donald Trump ordered the aircraft carrier Carl Vinson, along with 3 guided missile destroyers and the cruisers, to leave Singapore, this was on Saturday, in response to North Korea's latest missile test. That according to the New York Times and also as reprinted in Newsmax.com. I mean, here's what we have. For those of you who don't remember, Kim Jong-il, the father of Kim Jong-un, used to try to show military might by shooting missiles into the Sea of Japan all of the time. And everybody just laughed it off. Now, Kim Jong-un, who I feel is a psychopath, but in a sense a joke too, does the same thing. He sends missiles into the Sea of Japan. He wants to sit at the adult table. He wants to be taken seriously, but the world is not going to take him serious. China is only dealing with him because they have to deal with him because he is there. For China, it's more geographic. It's not that they like Kim Jong-un. It's not that they support Kim Jong-un. They have to support him. It's more geographic. So why are we poking the panda bear there in Kim Jong-un? With his Chinese support? Why are we, is it a taunt? Is it a test? Are we possibly looking down the barrel of an unnecessary confrontation there? I can't say I agree with sending ships there. No American interests have been threatened. No American people have been threatened. Kim Jong-un shoots off his mouth that he would nuke America. Yeah, he would if he could, but he can't. And we have the president of China sitting down having chocolate cake with President Trump, still in the old era there. And it seems that meeting went well. So when you have the puppet master of North Korea in China getting along well with our president, why inflame the temperament of the situation by sending ships into the North Korean coast, especially when they're going to have a big holiday? You know, we don't want anybody raining down on our July 4th, do we? We don't want anybody raining down on our Memorial Day or our Labor Day, do we? No. So why seek an possibly unnecessary confrontation there? Again, this is alarming the base, and we are a very vocal base, and there is an outcry coming from the base. Could it be, as Dr. Savage talks about in Trump's war, his battle for America, could it be the same thing as the Obama administration felt back in the day, as the rhinos in the Republican establishment felt when Trump came on the scene? Could Trump feel he's possibly losing his power, or the people behind the scenes feel he's losing his power is a better way to put it? It's all there in Trump's war, his battle for America. When establishment folks who are very powerful and they are entrenched in their power feel like they are going to lose that power, it's like having a rat cornered. And it is only dangerous when you corner a rat or you corner a snake. And most, if not all, politicians are rats and snakes. And when their power is questioned, they will attack. Is one of those rats or snakes whispering in President Trump's ear because they fear losing their power? Well, read Trump's War, his battle for America, to get more insight on that. Let's get back to the phones. Gary, WCFO in Georgia, welcome to the Savage Nation with Lou Pate.
Lou, it's an honor to speak with you today, sir.
It's an honor to have you call. Thank you. I know you've been holding for a while. I appreciate and respect your time.
Well, I just wanted to call in today and simply say, as a Republican political consultant for the last 6 years, that the strike in Syria is precisely what I believe the principle of peace through strength looks like in this situation. President Trump campaigned on making America great again. Part of that was rebuilding the military and rebuilding our reputation as a nation who would back its allies. The most important weapon in our arsenal is a strong, decisive president that exercises hard power diplomacy. The American people built that key element of our arsenal with their vote in November. To my mind, America First was a domestic trade policy messaging effort to break down the blue wall in the upper Midwest. It was not a guarantee of isolationism or non-interventionism on the foreign policy front when American interests and humanitarian interests are at stake, even if that's what the libertarians among Trump supporters felt that is what it meant. It's really
Let me ask you this, Gary. Yes, do you think, I asked this question earlier, but no, the excellent points of what you're saying. I know what you're saying, but in reference to the bombing in Syria and a possible escalation, and now warships headed toward the North Korean Sea, as mentioned in Newsmax.com, do you think that President Trump bombed the Syrian airport because he felt really, I mean, obviously the videos were horrible and he's a human. Of course he felt bad. I felt bad. Or did someone whisper in his ear, and did he use the chemical attack to be an aggressor militarily in order to, well, one, make former President Obama look bad, and then also possibly, get Assad out of there, using it the way they used 9/11 as an excuse to go into Iraq.
The strike was an attention getter. It was a way to bloody a bully's nose and just step back and watch the rest of the world's petty dictators shiver, while Trump built a consensus coalition.
So you, as a Trump supporter, you're okay with it? Because a lot of people are not, but it's okay. I mean, and I'm sure some are.
Absolutely. I mean, the Trump doctrine has been written. His actions have actually created a doctrine of hard power and peace through strength. And that is what I believe a large segment in the flyover country really wants from Trump.
It's interesting, Gary. It's great points. It's funny that the thing that is saying is that the media for a long time said Trump had colluded with Russia in order to win the election, and now the media is saying this strike on Syria is a good thing, even though it knocks out the whole Russia collusion with Trump story. You can't have it both ways. They kind of contradicting themselves. Which one do you think it is?
Well, as far as the optics and everything, as far as perception goes, I think the media is going to come around and figure out another way to attack Trump myself. It doesn't matter.
I laugh not at you, Gary. I laugh because, boy, that is the understatement of the day. I'm sure they've got seven hands in the pot ready to go there. But Gary, thanks for your call. Do appreciate it. Let's head up to Anchorage, Alaska. Sergio, welcome. My Italian paisan up in the land of the cold, KSRM. How are you?
Hello?
Hey, Sergio, you're on the Savage Nation.
Hey, Lope. Thank you so much for taking my call. I wanted to talk with Michael Savage, but if he feels comfortable leaving you in his show, I think you're a pretty smart guy, too, so I feel pretty comfortable talking with you, too.
Well, I am forever indebted for Dr. Savage for allowing me to sit in for him. It is definitely an honor, and I appreciate the kind words.
Yeah, no.
Hey, Sergio, one question. Did you get your copy of Trump's War yet?
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Did you get your copy of Trump's War yet?
No, not yet. I'm a Michael Savage fan, but I never get a chance to get any of his.
You have to get it. If you have to get it and then read it and then give it to your cousin. I'm telling you, because whatever question you're going to ask right now, if you had Trump's War, I bet you'd have the answer already.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, my quick question is, first of all, I'm conservative. I'm a Trump supporter. And I was just wondering, is it true that the bombing in Syria cost $110 million? And if that was the case, is it true that the airport in Syria was reopened and functioning on the next following day?
I don't know what the cost was. I have to say I don't pay much attention to that type of stuff. But, yes, it has been reopened, and they They destroyed about a fifth of the airport. They did not totally demolish the airport. Why, do you have a problem with that?
Oh, no.
But no, it was open, and that's where the spin starts. Those who are against Trump will say he didn't complete the job, he should have destroyed the whole airport, and those who are for him say he was just sending a message. Where do you fall in that, Sergio?
I want to hear this media online. It's called RT. I think you're familiar with. I think that's for
sure. Yeah, RT.com. Sure.
RT. Yeah, I heard that this morning. And my other question is, if Donald Trump has facts that actually was the government of Syria that they bombed their own people, or maybe
well, that's what they talked about today before CNN reported that they voted against the UN Security Council. But they were going to have an investigation into that. But come on, Sergio, given the history of Assad using chemical weapons on his own people, who do you think did it? I mean, yeah, it could have been the rebels, but highly unlikely.
He's bombing his own people.
Yeah, he's done it like 7 other times. This is not the first chemical attack on the people.
Uh-huh. And what is the reason that he's bombing his own people? What's the purpose of that?
Well, they want to snuff out the rebels who are trying to get him out of power.
Oh, okay.
So you have the rebels trying to kill Assad, get him out of power. They don't even want him to go into exile. They want him dead, and because he's been a heinous, murderous dictator. So the rebels want him out, and so that they could ascend to power, put their person in there. And obviously he's trying to stop them from doing that, and he has the help of Russia.
Right. Okay. And my last question, if North Korea shot a missile this Saturday with their parade that they're going to have, what do you think Japan, China, United States will do if this North Korea shoot missiles on Saturday?
I don't think they're going to shoot missiles. But I mean, obviously, it would be all out mayhem. It would be all out war, and I'm sure that President Trump and the president of China discussed that, because I do think they know that China needs North Korea for geographical reasons, but then China also knows that Kim Jong-un is a psychopath, and I'm sure that was something we'll never hear about. But President Trump and President Xi spoke about that behind the scenes, and he probably, I like to think, he told President Xi, "I'm just going to send ships to the area." And just to make a statement, but I don't think it's a good idea. But, hey, I got to run, Sergio, but thank you for your call. Remember to pick up a copy of Trump's War, His Battle for America. Let's go to Maggie, and checking in from Reno, KKOH. Welcome, Maggie, to the Savage Nation.
Hi, how you doing, Lou?
I'm okay. Thank you for holding.
Great. Hey, I was really happy that I went behind the last guy you had, not the last guy, not Sergio, but Gary. Man, what he had to say was, like, spot on, in my opinion. I just signed over to Republican after when Trump decided to run. I guess I didn't realize I was a Republican all along. The last 8 years that Obama was in, I really started to pay attention, and I think Trump did the right thing. I think the man knows what he's doing. I don't think he wants war per se, but I think he is doing what a good leader should do by leading with a strong arm. I, for one, have both feet on the ground as far as what he's doing. I'm behind him 100%. Sending the Carl Vinson up to the North China Seas, I think, is a good move. Just to, show that we, first of all, to protect us in case something does happen, we have to be prepared. I agree with his strategy of not telling everybody what our next step is going to be. I think. Well,
that I'm with you too. When we Somalia and every place we have the news teams waiting for our troops on the beach, it was ridiculous. But let me ask you this: so you're okay with the bombing of Syria, the Syrian airport? What if we take it further? Although today President Trump famously said to Fox News, to Maria Bartiromo, that we are not going into Syria. What if we did? Hypothetically, what if we went in there? How would you feel about that, Maggie?
Nobody wants to cause a war. I think to support them and help teach them how to keep their own people on the ground to do what they need to do to protect not only their people.
Wait, just quickly, because I'm up against the break, Maggie. Would you be bothered by escalation, yes or no?
I would not be bothered by it.
All right. Well, short and to the point. Maggie, thanks for your call. Do appreciate it. We'll take a quick break. Lou Pate here with you. Make sure you pick up your copy of Trump's War, His Battle for America. You'll be in the know, and you'll be in the know more than your friends, and then you can lend them the book. Let them buy their own copy. You're listening to The Savage Nation.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
The Savage Nation is sponsored by Swiss America, the only company I trust with my financial future. Call 800-289-2646 or SwissAmerica.com. Here we are talking about the CIA, the NSA, and top intelligence agencies. All of our sensitive secrets can be hacked. We now know that safety and privacy of our finances are over. I mean, how safe and private do you think your finances are sitting in the cyber world? Who hacked them? How about your stock accounts, your saving accounts, even your 401ks? Frankly, that's why I turned to Swiss America for answers about protecting the Savage household finances and privacy. One book explained it all. Don't bank on it. And for a limited time, the first 500 callers can get a free copy. Only 500 of you are going to get it. What timing this is. 800-289-2646, 800-289-2646. It's a free book on exactly the topic we're talking about. And you'll learn how to protect your money against what even the CIA cannot protect. Please do it now. It's free. It's a book. 800-289-2646, 800-289-2646 for a free copy of the book. Don't bank on it.
I will tell you that we have gone back through and looked at all the evidence we can, and it is very clear who planned this attack, who authorized this attack, and who conducted this attack itself. That we do know, with no doubt whatsoever.
And that was Secretary of Defense Mad Dog Mattis talking about no doubt that the Syrian regime were responsible for the chemical attack. Well, now everybody has said they were going to take part in an investigation, but now with the Russians vetoing a UN Security Council deal, as reported by CNN, that kind of is up in the air. Hey, if you're holding, please continue to hold. You're listening to The Savage Nation. My name is Lou Pate, sitting in for Dr. Savage, who will return tomorrow. And if you pick up a copy of Trump's War, His Battle for America, you'll look at Chapter 12, Can Liberals Read a Map? Dr. Savage talks about Obama tried to, I quote, Obama tried to provoke a war with Russia right up until the day he walked out of office of the White House for the last time. I really wasn't sure at times how far he was willing to go. Would he fire missiles at Russia before he left like a juvenile delinquent, throwing stink bombs into the school he's been thrown out of? Does anyone want more aggression against Russia other than the Reaganites who still think we're living in the Cold War era? And there's more. Just pick up a copy of Trump's War, His Battle for America, to find out where that goes. You're listening to The Savage Nation.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage. Warning: the Savage Nation contains adult language, adult content, psychological nudity. Listener discretion is advised. And now, America's most exciting radio talk show, The Savage Nation, home of borders, language, culture. And here he is, winner of the National Radio Hall of Fame Award, Michael Savage.
It's the Savage Nation. Lou Pate filling in for Dr. Savage. Thrilled to be here, but he will be back tomorrow, so do not fret. In the meantime, give us a call, 855-400-SAVAGE. If you're holding, please continue to hold. We're going to get right back into it and get to your phone calls. But in the meantime, pick up a copy of Trump's War, His Battle for America. More important now than ever. Remember, folks, it debuted #1 on the New York Times bestseller list. Need I say more? I do not need to say more, but I will. We are talking a lot today about the situation with Russia. CNN.com reporting that Russia has vetoed the Syrian resolution. China has abstained. We'll get to more of that. But in the meantime, in Trump's war, his battle for America, a lot of what we are talking about today, most of what we are talking about today, can be found within the pages of Dr. Savage's latest book. And you're not going to be disappointed if you pick this up. From the neocons who always want war, yet line their pockets and that of their cronies and really put our men and fighting men and women in danger. It's in there. If you look at page 145 about neocons, really want to know what is the foundation of this Russia hacking thing and why the rhinos and the other establishment folks are pushing it forward. It is right here, all in Trump's war. But it's not just Russia. It's not just war. If you look in page 60, a realistic plan to replace Obamacare. Remember, it blew up in President Trump's face because he listened to the powers that be, the establishment folks, Paul Ryan and others on the right-hand side of the aisle, which I think was a mistake. I think Paul Ryan should be out of the speaker's seat, but I've been saying that since the beginning. But in Trump's war, his battle for America, Dr. Savage lays it all out for you, a realistic plan to replace Obamacare. That and much more. We'll get to that in a little while. But in the meantime, we're talking Russia. We're talking them vetoing the Syrian resolution. We are talking about immigration, the end of catch and release. Folks, it is not all doom and gloom out there, regardless of what you're going to see on CNN and MSNBC and other outlets, your local affiliates and so on and so forth who feed off of these things, and many of the lies that you might see on the Internet. There are some positives coming out of the Trump administration, such as I mentioned earlier, he keeping his promises about immigration, getting strict, less people coming over the borders. The numbers, you can argue them, but that's just the minutia. That's just semantics. The numbers have definitely gone down of those trying to cross the border. What they are exactly, no one really knows, so why debate them? But the message is that there is a tough leader. Unlike our former president, Obama. I'm not here to pick on Obama. That's just too easy. That's like, taking candy from a baby, but he didn't do his job. His first job was to keep America safe, and in keeping us safe, you have to protect our borders. He not only didn't protect our borders, didn't keep us safe, he encouraged people to break the law and encouraged the powers that be in local jurisdictions to turn the other cheek against those who are breaking the law. Regular Americans, well, be damned. And as Dr. Savage talks about in Trump's war, his battle for America, I mentioned earlier, how's about sanctuary cities for Americans? It's all in it. It's truly amazing. I got to tell you, it's very visionary, this book, and you will enjoy it, and you'll be talking about it with your friends, and they'll think you're very smart. They will. And then they'll read the book and say, I know, and they'll not only read the book, and then they'll start listening to the show. Let's get back to the phones. Let's go to Dr. Savage's hometown of San Francisco. Rose, KSFO. Welcome to the Savage Nation with Lou Pate.
Hi. Thank you for taking my call. Yes.
Hi, Rose. You have a lot of energy. I'd feed off of your energy. You have a lot of energy. I like that.
Oh, I've been watching this politics now for so long, since Obama was in there. I'm so glad he's out. I so much support Trump. However, I did not really like him before he even started to run. I didn't think he was going to win, but I'm so glad he did now. I am glad that he went in and bombed Syria. That it's something that had to be done. If you're sitting there and you're watching a helpless woman or a helpless child getting beat up, getting hurt, are you going to stand there and watch it? Or are you going to
No, of course not. You're going to intervene and try and save them. But I see what you're saying, Rose. But where do we go from here now? You're okay with the bombing? I respect your opinion on that. What about escalation? What about that?
About what?
What about, like, where do we go from here? We bombed the airport. That sent a message. I agree with you that it definitely sent a message, and it's got the world talking, hence the meeting with Tillerson and Putin today. Now, where do we go from here? Do we remove Assad, or do we just send that message? What if he does it again? There's so many questions.
Well, the thing is no, we don't remove Assad. That's not our problem. But we did step in whenever someone needed help. They were helpless. Now, if he does it again, Trump already gave him his plan. Do it again and watch what happens. You know, do it again and see what happens. I think he's already been warned. Trump has to stay firm, unlike Obama that had no backbone. He shouldn't have never been in there. He should have been impeached. Liberals never did that. Republicans kept their mouths shut. They should have gone in there and fought about it, but they didn't. And now they're in there trying to harass Trump with all the stuff that he's doing. Get those Republicans out, too. Get the liberals out, too. Who cares what they say? But, yes, as far as the ships going in over to North Korea or over there, yes, I agree. They should go over there. I think they should. Or Russia, wherever they're going, China, I think they should go. They should be setting themselves up in case anything happens. If Trump doesn't send out ships there, then they're going to say, well, why didn't you do anything?
Rose, you are a hawk, are you not?
Oh, I am hot for this because you know what?
Not hot. You are a hawk. HAWK.
Oh gosh, yes, I am a hawk. I am a tomahawk. But, you know,
all right, wait. One question because I want to get to the other callers. One last question. Do you think the Iraq War was worth getting rid of Saddam Hussein? And I counter that with, do you think it's worth going to war to get rid of Assad?
No, I don't think it's worth going to war with it. But I mean, I don't want to go to war either. But if that's what it takes, then that's what we have to do. We have to keep. I mean, come on, Syria has ISIS over there. I mean, how much more can you ask about? Well, what's going on over there? Is it in our best interest? Well, no, it's not in our best interest to get rid of Assad, but it is in our best interest to stop ISIS. And
that is true. I'm with you on that, Rose. Thank you very much for your call. I wish that the powers that be, whether it be China, Russia, the United States, would come together and literally decapitate the head of ISIS and put the world out of their misery and their spreading of their cancer and death. Ron, WKZO in Michigan, welcome to the Savage Nation with Lou Pate. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. Thank you for taking the call.
I appreciate you calling in. What's on your mind?
I'd like to make, and I'd like to follow it up with a question, and maybe you or some of your other callers could address it. You recall in 2013, the Obama administration, along with the mainstream media, went head over heels against Assad because they claimed he had attacked his own citizens with chemical weapons. Later, after some research and investigation had been done, it was discovered that the chemical weapons were launched not from within Assad's territory, but from within territory held by the rebels. Now we have a situation that appears to be just exactly the same thing we saw in 2013, and the President Trump, instead of sticking to his campaign promise to avoid counterproductive wars of regime change, is speaking the same song that the neocons were speaking back in 2013. Now the question that I have is, what could possibly be the motivation for President Assad to launch a chemical attack which would bring the world opinion against himself and actually help his enemies, being ISIS and Al-Qaeda and the other rebel organizations within Syria?
Well, I don't think he cares, Ron, about what the world thinks because he has done this before. This chemical attack last week was not the first. He's done it at least, I think the number 7 times before. So it's nothing new to him to drop chemical bombs, not on the rebels, but on his own people. We just had the video this time, and there were the horrifying pictures, the father cradling his 2 dead babies, the twins, and then other pictures of him. He had buried his wife, the mother of the said babies, that the mother died, the babies died, the guy lost his whole family, and numerous other equally horrifying pictures involving women and children. And as Donald Trump said in that clip we played earlier about, kids with no arms and no legs, it was horrifying. So this is not a man with a conscience. He's done it before. He did it again. I just asked the question earlier, do you think he was being baited by Assad or AKA the Russians? What do you think?
Well, I personally think, without knowing the facts at this point, that the chemical attack was launched by one of the terrorist organizations within Syria. I do not believe that it was conducted by President Assad.
So you think it's a setup?
I would definitely think.
Setting up Assad. All right, I'll have to disagree with you on that. But, Ron, thanks for your call. Do appreciate it. That is what the Russians say. The Russians are saying that the rebels did it, or, ISIS-affiliated groups did it. The United States is saying it's Assad. It's not a matter of who did it. It was done, okay? The matter is we went in there. President Trump bombed the Syrian airport. He says now we are not going into Syria. Is this our fight? I understand coming to the aid of women and children. I was sickened, as everybody was, by those videos. But where do we go from here? Is Assad worth starting a major conflict, possibly with the Russians? Think about it. 855-400-SAVAGE. Lou Pate sitting in for Dr. Savage. He will be back tomorrow, but in the meantime, pick up a copy of Trump's War, His Battle for America. It's more important now than ever, and I think I've made that case. I've read from the book. I've cited how today's news stories are parallel with, actually, the book comes before. They're not parallel. The book predicts what is going on right now. So if you want to see what is coming next, pick up a copy of Trump's War, His Battle for America. You're listening to The Savage Nation.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
The Savage Nation is sponsored by Swiss America, the only company I trust with my financial future. Call 800-289-2646 or SwissAmerica.com. Attention. This message is for everyone suffering from back pain. If you're driving in your car right now, I'm sure every bump, every little crack you run over feels like a giant speed bump, sending shooting pain through your back, pain you'll be feeling all day. Back pain that makes a 30-minute commute feel like a punishing 2-hour drive. Well, here's some good news. If you're by a CVS or Walgreens, pull in right now. You heard me. Walk back to the pain relief aisle and get Australian Dream Back Pain Cream. It's in a purple box. Australian Dream is real effective medicine that really works. Rub it in where it hurts. Give yourself some relief. Try Australian Dream Back Pain Cream, backed by the empty jar guarantee. Use the entire jar. If it doesn't relieve your back pain, I want you to send back the empty jar for a full refund. Pull into the nearest CVS or Walgreens. Get Australian Dream Back Pain Cream now, in the purple box, or visit AustralianDream.com.
I will tell you that we have gone back through and looked at all the evidence we can, and it is very clear who planned this attack, who authorized this attack, and who conducted this attack itself. That we do know, with no doubt whatsoever.
Welcome back to the Savage Nation. Lou Pate filling in for Dr. Savage, who will return tomorrow. 855-400-SAVAGE. To those of you holding, do not go away. I'm going to get to all of your calls and anybody else who is so inclined to take part in the conversation. We welcome you to our procession here at the Savage Nation. But first, that was General James Mattis, nicknamed Mad Dog. It's not a name he likes to be called in public, but it is his nickname. And the reason I play that clip for you again, because in Chapter 4 of Trump's War, His Battle for America, There's on page 118, Restoring the Purged Officers. And Dr. Savage says as follows. I wrote about Mattis back in 2014 in my book, Stop the Coming Civil War. I was raising the red flags about how Obama had purged more than 200 military officers at the rank of colonel or higher. He had replaced these officers with useless puppets who would go along with his plans to transform the military into a progressive social program. One of those fired by this Castronite was General James Mattis. And who is James Mattis? He is a great Marine and the former head of the U.S. Central Command, or CENTCOM. It goes on, folks. You want to see where Dr. Savage takes it? Now, more important than ever, Trump's war, his battle for America. Truly an inspiring and a very interesting tome. You're definitely going to want to read it and purchase it and give it as a gift as well. Back to the phones here on the Savage Nation. Let's go to Scott at WABC. Welcome, Scott, to the Savage Nation. I know you've been there a while. I appreciate and respect your time.
I'd like to say that America attacked Syria because innocent and helpless men, women, children, and babies, of course, were being slaughtered with poison gas. But what gets me very upset and shocked is that America never has come to the aid of innocent and helpless Palestinian men, women, children, and babies who have been slaughtered by the evil Zionists. I mean,
hold on, Scott, because Israel is our ally, and our support for Israel is something that is unconditional and should be unconditional, and something I support unconditionally. Israel is our only ally in that region. They are our only friend in that region. And if you think the Palestinians are your friend or the friend of anybody other than other Arabs who want to slaughter our Israeli friends in the region, then you're blind and you're mistaken with your hatred. And I suggest that you educate yourself on what is going on between the Israelis and the Palestinians in that conflict there before you just go making blanket statements about what America has done. President Obama, on the way out the door, gave the Palestinians $220 million of our taxpayer dollars. What do you think they're going to do with that? They're going to use it against the Israelis. So know what you're talking about before you get on a national blowtorch like the Savage Nation and make a fool of yourself. And there's a lot more that goes there, but we could do a whole show on the Palestinian blood on their hands, shooting missiles over the walls and into Israel. And don't even get me started on that. I want to get to legitimate callers here. Let's go to Tulsa, Oklahoma. Tara at KFAQ. Welcome to the Savage Nation.
Well, hello. You know, I think sometimes we have to get back to first theory. We forget often how horrible war can be. And for Christians, we have to ask ourselves, why are we there?
It's a good question. Excellent question.
First principles. I mean, are we there for territory, resources? Are we there to protect Israel?
Just quickly, Tara, just got a few seconds. Why do you think we're there?
Well, the tragic thing about Syria is that it was a fairly civil society.
But why are we there? Quick, you got 10 seconds.
Arab Spring. I mean, and
all right, we're not going to find out. All right, Tara, but thanks for your call. We got to go. I'm up against the break. I apologize. Lou Pate here with you. It's the Savage Nation, the home of Trump's war.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
Dr. Michael Savage here. My mother always used to say you are what you eat, and boy was she right. But who knows what's healthy anymore, right? Well, here's something. Drink Super Beets. What's Super Beets? Super Beets is a circulation superfood. Just one glass a day helps give you the cardiovascular power of this amazing vegetable. Why is this important to you? It's all about healthy blood flow. You see, if you're over 40, your body may be losing its efficiency around energy, stamina, and even maintaining healthy blood pressure. Drinking good-for-you superfoods helps feed your body's cardiovascular and circulatory system and boosts your stamina and energy at the core level. Professional and college athletes trust Super Beets to help them be their best, and you should too. So do something good for yourself today. Go to SavageLovesBeets.com and try Super Beets for yourself. And right now, you can get an additional 30-day supply of Super Beets for no additional cost with your first order plus free shipping. So go to SavageLovesBeets.com today or call 1-800-481-0504.
Welcome back to the Savage Nation. Lou Pate filling in for Dr. Savage. He will return tomorrow. If you're just joining us, where we are talking about the situation with Russia, the situation with Rex Tillerson, our Secretary of State, meeting with Vladimir Putin earlier today, and then the subsequent press conference. We're also talking about the issue of sanctuary cities, immigration, and Attorney General Sessions talking about new border security actions, the end of catch and release. A lot going on here. We're also talking about Trump's war, the contents of Trump's war, his battle for America. And we've been going through the book because they align with so much of what I've been talking about today and so much of what Dr. Savage has been talking about in recent weeks. It's very visionary. It's an excellent read. You're definitely going to enjoy it if you pick it up or when you pick it up. We've addressed not just the issue of Russian hacking and war and things of that nature. There's also the issue of realistic plan to repeal Obamacare, sanctuary cities, restructuring military spending, and, of course, the neocons that President Trump must face every day and their counterproductive methods of his efforts to try and make America great again. So check it out, Trump's War, His Battle for America. Now let's get to the phones. Jeremy at WFNR in Virginia, welcome to the Savage Nation. Thank you for holding.
Yeah, thank you, Lou. You're doing a great job filling in for Dr. Savage today.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's a lot of work being in the big chair, and I have a new appreciation. Every time I'm here, I have more of an appreciation of what Dr. Savage does for the audience every day.
Oh, that's right. I know it is, because it's hard, man, especially filling in for somebody like him. That's big shoes to fill.
Yes.
Basically, I just wanted to comment on the Syria bombings that we did the other day and just kind of make a point that, Americans lose focus too easy.
Wait, now, hold on. It says on my screen here, you're a veteran.
Hell,
you're a veteran? When did you serve?
Yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Jeremy. You're a veteran?
Yes, sir.
When were you Army, Marines? What were you, Air Force?
I was in the Air Force.
Okay, so you're giving this to me from a veteran standpoint. So I'm more so interested. So I'm sorry, the floor is yours.
No, I was just going to say, I was a 2W151. I was deployed in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom back in 2003 for the initial invasion. And, a lot of this stemmed from, the American public, first of all, forgot that, wars aren't won in a day. They're not won in a couple days. They're not won in a week, You may be able to shut something down pretty quick and say you did, but it's very rarely ends that way. We all know that. History tells us that.
Now, as someone who has served, Jeremy, are you for or I'm assuming you're a Trump supporter?
Yes, absolutely.
Are you for or against the actions taken thus far against Syria, and do you think we should move forward with them?
Again, it's always tricky. Again, a lot of people assume that you talk to a veteran and they automatically assume that they think that veteran wants to go to war, and they're always wanting, but very rarely.
Well, you know what happens when you assume, Jeremy. You know what happens when you assume.
That's exactly right. But just from the veterans that I know, very few of them are real quick to jump back into something. Now, don't get me wrong. There was times where I would want to go back to be with some of the guys that were deployed with me. But, that's more of the camaraderie that's forged in those types.
There's camaraderie in military units. There's camaraderie on sports teams. No, I didn't think you meant going back for for what is the hell of war. But you've seen it. You guys have seen it. You know how horrible it is. You've felt it. You've lost friends.
So
it's not good.
There knows that that's not something you're real quick to throw your brother in arms right back into. And this thing with Syria, it should have been, because who's the leader of ISIS? Al-Baghdadi. And where's he at?
That's the guy with the very expensive watch.
Right. Yeah.
No, the guy was like his watch is worth a few $1,000s, and he's pretending, he's getting all these poor kids to blow themselves up as suicide bombers, and he's living in the lap of luxury.
Right, that's it. That's how these guys think, and it's I use the word guys think real loosely there, I'd like to call them something else, but I know it's a talk show, so we'll keep it.
You'll get me fired.
Again, that's the thing. We should have finished it up. We left a power vacuum there. And people forget that these people are not raised in first world countries where they have problems like how long's the line at Starbucks or how long is my Amazon order going to take to get here. These people have real
and I need a safe space.
Right, exactly. These people have real problems, and when you have problems like that, like clean water, somewhere to live, not worrying about saying something and somebody reporting you to secret police and them coming in the middle of the night and bashing your hands with hammers and stuff like that. You know, these people are scared, so when they have some lunatic get up there and preach to them from the time they're able to understand anything, that America and the West is the infidel and that they're here to kill us. And
yeah, these young people are brainwashed.
They have to wipe us off before we wipe them out, you know.
Right.
Just, it creates an atmosphere of hate and bloodlust, essentially, and that's what it is. That's all it boils down to, is that, you know, they want to preach that this is, because I'm from the school of the whole ideology, and I know I may not sound PC.
I'm with you. So basically, you're a military man who served in Iraqi Freedom 2003, and you don't think we should escalate this?
Well, I'm not sure about that, because I'm all about let's do something before it gets too out of hand. I'm all about that, and I'm not going to apologize for anything that we did while we were there, because I believed in what
Nor should you.
Right. You know, people want to, you know, poo-poo on Iraq anyways to begin with, but people forget that, you know, George W. Bush had 90% approval for that war. You know.
Well, listen, I'll tell you this, because I said, and just so you know, Jeremy, I said earlier, we shouldn't have gone into Iraq. We should have gone into Afghanistan. And that is not an anti-Iraq war statement. I just think that the powers that be manipulated the situation of 9/11, and you and your friends would have been just as brave to go into Afghanistan. I don't condemn you. I don't criticize you for doing what you did. I never would do that. It's brave just to go into that. But I do think that you and your troops were sent to the wrong place.
That we had, put the full force of the American military in there on them, and let us loose and let us do what we can do, as you know, the American military has shown we can do.
Hey, I agree, Jeremy. I got to run. You can't fight a politically correct war, but thank you for your service and thank you for your call. Let's go to Brad, WFTW, in my current home of Florida. Welcome, Brad, to the Savage Nation.
Hey, Lou, this is Brad. Thanks for taking my call.
Thank you for calling.
Call to respond to the caller, I think it was 2 calls ago, who said he believes the Syrian rebels were the ones who initiated the chemical attack.
Yeah, the Russians said that too. That's where he's piggybacking that comment. Yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, well, I work as an intel analyst right now for the Air Force. I'm retired from the Army. 22 years I was in Iraq also. And
I commend you for your service.
Thank you. And we definitely have the ability to know where the attack came from. It's not real hard. I can't go into methods and capabilities and so forth, but
I think, Brad, it's just kind of common sense. I mean, the man has chemically bombed his own people before. Isn't it kind of safe to assume it's him?
Well, we don't have to assume anything. We know exactly where the attack came from. It came from the base we just obliterated. And we even know the pilot's name. This is how good our intel capabilities are. And where I stand on this, Trump is my president. I support him completely. And I told my younger daughter, who's 20 years old, asked me about this situation, and I said it's a proud day to be an American. And I used the analogy of if you were standing there watching a bully beat up a little kid on the playground and you had the ability to do something about it, I was very proud we did do something about it.
Okay, now, Brad, 2 questions. One, I need short answers, please. Okay, where do we go from here now? Do we escalate? Trump says we're not going into Syria. That's a quote. But where do we go from here, and what do you tell people, Trump supporters, many of which have called today, where there is an outcry from them, from the base, that he do not go forward? And I think he's feeling some of the pressure from his base because, after all, it is politics. There is the 2018 midterms, and then there is re-election in 2020. So, quickly, where do we go from here, and what do you say to other Trump supporters who are against the bombing?
Well, I would say, like I told my daughter, it's a proud day to be an American. We've been watching this stuff happen from a standpoint of weakness for years. And the other day, we showed our strength, and we sent a very strong message. And where we go from here, we don't have to go anywhere. The next move is theirs. But what Trump showed was, if they continue to violate with the use of chemical weapons and so forth, we're going to put our foot down, and we did. And from my own viewpoint, I think Russia's glad we did it. They want to keep Assad in power because he's their puppet. They got their air base now in Syria, and they were probably glad we smacked him down. And because now he won't.
I thought that. And Brad, thank you for your call. I thought that. I did. I thought that on Friday until I found out they knew about the chemical attack. And that changed my opinion. I thought, they'd like to get rid of him. China would like to get rid of Kim Jong-un. But then you hear that they knew about this in advance, and it's kind of hard to think that. Before we go to break, let's go to Utah. KKAT Ed, welcome to the Savage Nation with Lou Pate. Thank you for holding.
All right, Lou. I heard the Pat Buchanan interview yesterday on Michael Savage. I appreciate it. I read Pat Buchanan in the American Free Press newspaper. Are you familiar with it, Lou?
No, I'm not.
Okay, I read Pat Buchanan there. I am outraged right now. I voted for Donald Trump, and I'm still on the Trump train.
Okay.
He needs to do a jettisoning of the neocons like Kirshner. These bring up what the internationalists that he spoke against and railed against. He actually wanted to forge a relationship with Vladimir Putin, not the Chinese that have been stealing our factories. Lou, I hope you would bring on Pat Buchanan yourself, like Michael did yesterday, and I would hope that that previous caller, nice guy, I probably would appreciate him at another venue. But the fact is, the propaganda worked on the neocon wing of the Trump coalition. I'm not buying it. I'm a populist. Phyllis Schlafly, the late, great Phyllis Schlafly, would be outraged if this turnabout happened right here. We did not vote for John McCain. We slapped him down. Yet they're winning behind the scenes. I'll
tell you what. Yes, Ed, and thank you for your call. I appreciate your passion. I agree with a lot of what you said. There's something troubling about the fact that Never Trumper John McCain all of a sudden supports something that Donald Trump does, and hence the attack in the Syrian airport. To me, that was troubling because I think John McCain is a complete fool, and his time in the Senate is over, and he should just stop appearing. And by the way, the producers on Meet the Press should stop being lazy and book other guests besides John McCain and Lindsey Graham. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. Remember to get your copy of Trump's War, His Battle for America. You heard the passion of the last caller? Well, that's the passion that Dr. Savage put into this latest book. A lot of what we talk about today is in this book, which debuted #1 on the New York Times bestseller list. Need I say more? Well, I will when we come back here on the Savage Nation.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
The Savage Nation is sponsored by Swiss America, the only company I trust with my financial future. Call 800-289-2646 or SwissAmerica.com. You know, here we are talking about the CIA, the NSA, and top intelligence agencies. All of our sensitive secrets can be hacked. We now know that safety and privacy of our finances are over. I mean, how safe and private do you think your finances are sitting in the cyber world? Who hacked them? How about your stock accounts, your saving accounts, even your 401ks? Frankly, that's why I turned to Swiss America for answers about protecting the Savage household finances and privacy. One book explained it all. Don't bank on it. And for a limited time, the first 500 callers can get a free copy. Only 500 of you are going to get it. What timing this is. 800-289-2646, 800-289-2646. It's a free book on exactly the topic we're talking about. And you'll learn how to protect your money against what even the CIA cannot protect. Please do it now. It's free. It's a book. 800-289-2646, 800-289-2646 for a free copy of the book. Don't bank on it.
It's the Savage Nation. Lou Pate filling in for Dr. Savage into the home stretch here. He will be back tomorrow, but just a friendly reminder, and it's something that you will not be disappointed at, to pick up a copy of Trump's War, His Battle for America. I'm telling you, I could use it as show prep for what's coming up on the shows. Truly a visionary tome by Dr. Savage. You're definitely going to want to check it out and then share what you learned from it with your friends. Trust me, Trump's War, His Battle for America, from repealing and replacing Obamacare to restructuring the military to actually little treat there at the end that I meant to mention and I neglected, which I apologize for. Chapter 13, Savage Solutions. You want to find out what's in there? Pick up Trump's War, His Battle for America. Todd, KVOR, Colorado Springs, welcome to the Savage Nation. You're 24 years old.
Yes, Lou.
Says it on my screen. We like that. I'm inhaling the youth. I'm inhaling your youth.
I don't identify as a movement conservative necessarily. I'm more in the kind of nationalist, populist camp here. I'm in full agreement with the last caller before the break. If we were 100% sure that this came directly from Assad, we had evidence that we could see demonstrating that fact, I'd be completely okay with the actions that he took. I'm glad to see that the administration doesn't intend to escalate things, but given what happened in 2013, given what Dr. Savage has talked about repeatedly now, that, the U.S. media rushes in to craft the narrative immediately and says, oh, this was a chemical attack by Assad on his own people, without demonstrating that to the American public, when all of the people denouncing Trump throughout the...
Hey, Todd, you faded away. Are you still there with me? You must have hit a bad cell zone. Hey, Todd, you're back. You faded away, Todd. You hit a bad cell zone. But I heard what you said, and I appreciate it. You're 24 years old. You're a Trump supporter. You're against the strike. You agree with what Dr. Savage has been saying in reference to the strike. And I understand where you're coming from. And the only question I was going to ask you, and I'll answer it then, is do you think that people such as yourself, 24-year-old conservative male Trump supporter, continues to support Trump but is against the strike, agrees with Dr. Savage, do you think that your opinions, your outcry from the base, are what's causing Donald Trump to not go further into Syria? I think you have to look at it and say there is pressure there. The aforementioned 2018 midterms and the 2020 re-election. Hey, that's it for me. My name is Lou Pate. Thank you for having me here on the Savage Nation. Special thanks to Robert. Special thanks to Jim. Special thanks to Ron, Team Savage. My name is Lou Pate. Pick up Trump's War, His Battle for America. You are listening to the Savage Nation.
Savage.